year horizon, we can see that India has outperformed all these countries, and India has given a total CAGR of 15% for the last 20 years, and Cyprus holds only about 8%, which is still आपको दिखेगा कि ऐसा क्यों है. But that is most interesting thing to me, as well as UK's market, its GDP is greater than its market cap. So moving forward, I will also tell you that कौन सा market, कौन सा sector specific heavy होता है कौन से countries में. Because most of the banks which we have in India are mostly government controlled banks. The mostly PSU banks. The biggest bank of our country is a PSU bank. Okay. So very good evening, everyone. Today we have gathered here to discuss a very fascinating topic, which is investing global versus Indian markets. So there are certain things which I will be covering in this presentation today, like what are the dynamics or what is the behavior of certain markets, as well as the entire backstory of our market, as well as few global markets. During the presentation, if you guys have any questions or any pointers, if you want to add, just wait for each of the speaker to let him complete. After that, you can add some pointers or any kind of information you want to share. So as I said, my first question is that what are the dynamics of different markets? So let's just go back in the history where majority of the markets were formed, at what time they were formed. So as you can see on the screen that India, it is the Asia's oldest stock exchange, and you guys will be surprised to know that it was started by a group of brokers under a banyan tree in Bombay. And the market was established in 1875, but the National Stock Exchange, that is the NSE, came way later in 1992. And our main index, which is the Nifty 50 index, it was launched in 1996. So the journey from, you can see from 1875 till 1996, we have seen a lot of events during that time also. Now, if we talk about the hot market, which is the US market, as you can see on the screen, it was established in 1792. We also say it as the New York Stock Exchange. It was born from the Bretton Woods Agreement, which was signed by 24 stockbrokers in the New York. And officially after few years, not few years, many years, S&P 500 was which is the major index, it was officially created. Similarly, if I tell you the story of the United Kingdom, it was established in 1801 as a formal institution, but the roots of this market goes way back. It goes till 1698, where a broker named John began posting the prices of stocks as well as commodities at a coffee shop, which was named as Jonathan's Coffee Shop House, which was in London, which was in London. So the main index of UK, it's the FTSE 100, and it was launched in 1985. Similarly, of China's story is not really that interesting because it was established in 1990, but it started trading. The trading began to start in December 1990, and its main index is called the Shanghai Composite Index. Similarly, for the story of Japan, it was established in 1878, but the index, which is the main index, which we call the Nikkei 225, it was established in 1950. Now, the last market which I have covered in this presentation, it is Cyprus. I'm pretty sure that very few people know about this market, and that is why I have chosen this global market. See, this market is relatively new compared to others. What all 5 countries I have mentioned, it is relatively new, and the entire trading of this market started in 1996. We all know till 1996 बहुत सारे events हो गए थे during the world, but this is one of the markets which is relatively new. So in the next slide, I have presented the market cap of each countries which I listed previously. Along with that, I have also listed the GDP. Now, the interesting part, if you can notice, is that China's GDP is greater than its market cap, which along the lines you can see when we move forward in the presentation, आपको दिखेगा कि ऐसा क्यों है. But that is most interesting thing to me, as well as UK's market, its GDP is greater than its market cap. So moving forward, I will also tell you that कौन सा market, कौन सा sector specific heavy होता है कौन से countries में. But Nishant, do you have any pointers to add to this plot which I have shown here?
Right now, Abhinav, like I have also the same data with respect to market cap and GDP, but for the different countries. So you can continue with these. Later on, I'll just explain what I have already like having these presentations.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So as I was saying in the first slide that in the example of Cyprus, you can see the Cyprus market cap and GDP is very less. If I tell you the exact numbers, its market cap is only $7 billion and its GDP is $38 billion. Now, why is that?
Uh,
Yeah,
one thing, Abhinav, sorry to interrupt you. Like FTSCs belong to Germany, right? If I'm not wrong.
no, FTSE is UK.
UK. Fine, fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, continue. Yes.
Yeah, so as you were saying, you had uh, different countries example. So was
Mhm.
the example of the same plot or you have some another plot?
Yeah, I have the same plot. But in out of all these countries, India and China are the same from my side also.
Okay, so you want
Rest
to
are
share?
different.
So do you want to share what other countries, or do I continue with the whole question and then you want to share it?
You can continue with this. Later on, I'll just after you complete.
Okay.
Abhinav,
Anybody? Yeah, yes, sir.
your volume is extremely low, यार.
अब आ रही है आवाज?
उतनी नहीं आ रही
मुझे
जितनी इसकी आ रही है, निशांत की आ रही है.
Okay. Now,
No, it's getting worse actually. I mean, I know how your volume is when we have meetings. It is definitely lower than that. So
how about now, sir? अब आ रही है आवाज?
I mean, ठीक है. I mean, you know, like I said, it is not the volume that we get during regular meetings. So I don't know what is changing on your end. But go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So now moving forward, as we know that we have also seen in most of the articles and we also have talked in dozen diamonds that how retail participation is the backbone of the
अभिनव एक पूछना था थोड़ा सा.
uh,
अच्छा ये यानी वैसे तो बहुत सारी कंट्री छूट गई होंगी, लेकिन आपने ये रशिया का यानी ऐसा क्यों नहीं लिया? कुछ रीजन है क्या?
स्पेसिफिक रीजन नहीं है. मेरा गोल सिर्फ एक ही था कि एक मैच्योर मार्केट लेना.
Guys, today try to talk as much as possible in English if possible.
Okay.
Yeah, my entire goal was of selecting these countries because uh, many of us have heard about most of the countries stock market. And secondly, बहुत सारे events हो चुके हैं during let's say during COVID or dot-com bubble or 2008 bubble. So these are the most prominent countries which have been in the news for a very long time. And the only reason I have chose Cyprus because it is the market which I'm sure 80% of us have not heard. So I just want to give more information about that market, that what exactly is happening in the market and which are the sectors which play the vital role of this market. So Indrajit, was this point clear to you?
Yes.
Yeah, Adrian.
China, illegal market cap with China and FTSE. So is it that these countries are more export oriented?
Your voice is breaking, Adrian.
Yes, yes. Your voice is quite breaking,
Is it
Adrian.
now? Is it fine? Okay, let me check. You continue.
Okay. So as I was saying, how retail participation is extremely important for any country. We can see that we being sitting at 1.43 billion, only
Can we
8
look at
of
the
our,
chart once more? Just once more. Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised that China's GDP is more than their market cap.
yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And even FTSE has that situation.
Yeah, but in case of FTSE, the margin is not that big compared to China.
Right? But I'm surprised that it is low. Like, come see where US is, it is almost double for their market cap is almost double of their GDP.
Right.
Do we have any idea why it is low for FTSE?
As of now, no, sir.
Acha, okay. All right, go ahead.
Is there investment part of other country
Investment part as in?
as a government?
हिंदी में पूछ ले यार, क्वेश्चन हिंदी में पूछ ले, समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या बोल रहा है।
नहीं, जैसे ये जीडीपी ज़्यादा दिखा रहा है, तो उनका जो मार्केट कैप इसलिए कम हो सकता है क्या कि उनका इन्वेस्टमेंट बाहर के देशों में ज़्यादा हो?
Yeah, that's speculation.
हम्म
We don't know whether the numbers are low because you are saying their market cap is low because they are investing their money outside the country.
यस सर.
Right. I think that is speculative. Maybe we can look at it later after the debate. Go ahead. Go
As
ahead,
I
guys.
was saying, yeah. So as I was saying, we being a country of 1.43 billion, only 8 of our population hold investments account. And not only that, only 1% trade monthly, which means that only 1% of our population trades actively per month. But if I have to compare it with major country like USA, their population is only 335 million. There, the number of adults who own stocks, that is roughly around 60%. So you can see how retail participation can impact the market cap of the country, not only market cap, but also the GDP of the country. Similarly, our population and China's population is somewhat similar, but the only difference there is that the retail traders are actually responsible for 70 to 85% of the total trading volume. Moving forward, in case of Japan.
I mean, does that mean that speculative nature is much more in China than in India?
Yes, exactly. And moving forward, I will also show that how speculative nature is also there in India, and that is why it is one of the key challenges our market face.
39%. Acha. What are the FTSE numbers showing? Can you?
Their population is 67 million, and about 40% adults actively invest. And out of 39, 21 invest directly in stocks.
What do you mean by directly in stocks?
Directly as in they don't invest via mutual funds, they directly buy shares from the market.
Acha. Any reason why the investment is so low in China, in Japan?
So mainly the reason is that when the Japanese index fell, majority of the investors and traders ran away from the market.
Acha.
And not only that, people invested after the crash, but the main reason was that the index was so sideways that the Japanese index did not give any returns for last 20-30 years.
Okay, so they have stopped participating.
Yeah, they stopped participating.
Mhm. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Nishan, do you have any questions along these lines, or shall I continue?
No, continue, Abhinav. You can continue.
So how come you're not showing?
Hello.
I mean, who was showing? You were talking about Cyprus, but you're not showing Cyprus in this list.
So the data for Cyprus was very inaccurate, and the authenticity of the data was not available. So that is why I've excluded Cyprus in this list.
Achha, okay.
So now I'm going to talk about how the S&P 500 has its sectors weightages. As you can see, we all know that how US is a very tech heavy index, tech heavy country. You can see the entire IT constitutes about 35% of the entire index. And after that, it is the financials, which constitute about 14%. As you can see, the main reason why the market cap to GDP ratio is high in US is that first, that the retail participation is clearly very high when we compare to all the countries around. All the countries around the world. Secondly, the amount of real estate investment, that is only 2% in US. If we moving forward, if we see the comparison, we can see that in India or in China or Japan, the real estate investment is quite higher compared to USA.
I mean, when you say real estate investment, I'm guessing you're just talking about REITs.
Not just REITs, sir, but this data extremely shows that where the retail money goes. Not just the retail money, but how the people of USA thinks about the investment.
Nini, what I'm saying is that you're not talking about real estate investment. You're talking about investing in the real estate through the stock market.
Through the stock market. Yes, correct.
Because the real estate investment is around 35% of their total personal wealth.
Yes,
It is
this
only
is a
investment through stocks that is not happening in real estate.
right.
Hmm.
This
So, Abhinav,
bifurcation.
one question.
Yeah.
My question is that if you're saying that real estate is only 2%, so that what I understood by this, that it means only 2% stocks constituent as belong to the real estate sector, right? That is
Exactly.
what you are
In
saying.
the in the S&P 500. Right.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, continue.
Now, if we see the same bifurcation for China, you can see the Chinese index has 27% of financials and real estate. We have seen in the past that how the Evergrande uh, scam or the fraud was happened in China because of how the real estate companies were misusing the loans via the banks. Secondly, industrials, as someone in the audience mentioned that how their exports were higher, that is why their market cap is higher than the GDP. The GDP is higher than the market cap, sorry. So you can see in industrials, you can see it constitutes about 19% of their entire index. And third comes the IT sector, that is only 11%.
How about manufacturing? Where is manufacturing?
So manufacturing comes under industrials,
Achha. Industrials is
19%.
19%. Okay. So after real estate, manufacturing or at least industrials is on the high side. Okay.
Right. And after that, IT. Now, if we see the same data for the Japanese index, here you can see why the Japanese numbers for retail participation was lower, as 49% of the Nikkei index constitutes to the IT sector, which is the technology sector. And after that, 24% is the consumer goods.
No, but is their technology the same as IT? I mean, they have many other technologies also, right? So,
Yeah, so in this 49%, what the other technologies you're talking about, that plus the normal information technology.
so do you have any idea which other technologies are constituting a large portion?
No, that bifurcation was actually not available.
Acha.
So that
Okay.
that is, yeah. Now our index, Nifty 50. Here you can
What
clearly
about
see.
finance? Can you just show finance in all those financial sector in all those countries? Yeah.
Yeah. In
Let's start
Japan,
with
it's
US. US.
okay.
Start with US. Yeah.
In US, it is 14%.
Acha.
Then in China, it was 27%. Plus, that is 27 is not entirely for the finance. It has real estate also included in it.
Acha. So definitely industrials is on the higher side. If you split the 27%, I'm sure
Yeah, the
only one.
manufacturing. Yeah, the manufacturing constitutes more if we see individually.
ठीक है. Okay, that explains things a little better. Yeah.
Yeah. For the Japanese index, the finance sector only constitutes to 3%.
Acha.
49% is the technology sector, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And for our market, the entire market constitutes of 38% of financial services. And next is IT, that is only 10%. This is the recent data for our market. It is from 31st July 2025.
So, do you know any reason why financials occupy such a big percent of our market?
Sir, mainly because most of the banks which we have in India are mostly government controlled banks. The mostly PSU banks. The biggest bank of our country is a PSU bank, that is State Bank of India.
Okay.
After that, we have a private bank, that is HDFC Bank.
I mean, why does that make them occupy such a big portion of the market?
So mainly because it is, what I personally think is that the mindset of the citizens of India really reflects here, because they personally feel that they like to keep their money in the bank which is owned by the government. So they basically feel
Acha.
that even if their country fails, the country's bank is not going to fail. That is why they keep their savings or do any kind of transactions from the government owned bank. And apart from that, majority of the stocks people hold is also from the PSU sector only. So shall I move forward?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Now we have the UK index. Here the finance sector constitutes about 23%, and the industrials, which also comes with the manufacturing, it constitutes about 15%. Here also the real estate holds only 1%, and the IT, which was highest in the US, holds about 4%.
See, I quickly want to make a comment about all the slides you create. I mean, it should be obvious. You should be putting the DD logo somewhere on the slide. Nah?
Yeah, the DD logo is there in the, not here, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Every slide should reflect the DD logo. ठीक है, चलो continue.
Now the Cyprus sector. It constitutes about 87% of the financials, and the rest 7% is the consumer goods, and the IT only constitutes about 1%. So you guys will be surprised to know that the entire Cyprus country runs only through banks. there are 10 stocks listed in the entire index. Out of 7 are the banks, which hold the majority of the weightages. And we have seen in the after the COVID rally also that how the banking stocks have rallied in Cyprus.
Any reason for the banking to rally after the COVID?
The main reason was that before when the Cyprus index was established, after a few years there was a huge scam or fraud in the Cyprus market. So that is
Mhm.
why all the banking stocks tanked, because the banking stocks were somewhere connected to the fraud. So after many years, the banking stocks started outperforming. So that is why most of the listed stocks in the entire index is only finance stocks. Majority of the banks.
ठीक है, continue, continue.
अच्छा, अभिनव, इसको ऐसा हम बोल सकते हैं स्विस बैंक जैसा यहाँ पे काम होता है।
Not entirely, but हाँ कुछ लोग Cyprus they use Cyprus uh, as an
Is it
offshore.
a tax
Yeah,
haven also?
yeah, it's a tax haven also, just like Cayman Islands.
Mm.
But majority of the people use Cyprus as a offshore country to set up their offshore businesses. So that is why the banks play a vital role in the entire market. Now I'll show you the drawdowns of each of the market. The only reason I have not mentioned China and Cyprus because of the same data issue. You guys know how private the entire China is about their data. So the data related to China and Cyprus was not really available. So that is why I've only taken 4 countries, that is USA, India, Japan, and UK. Now, if you see for the 2000 crash, which was the dot-com bubble, you can see the S&P 500 US ka index fell about 43%, more than 45%. Whereas for India, it fell by 53%. But the least impacted uh, market was the UK market, which only fell about 11%. Now, if I take into the consideration of another crash, which was a 2008 Lehman Brothers market, you guys will be surprised to know that US market fell about 58%, but the Indian markets fell about 65% during that time. Now, there was no clear reports by SEBI or by the NSE that why the Indian market fell more than the US market. But some speculation was there that the Indian market started buying bonds of the Lehman Brothers. So that is why our markets fell more than the US market, where the actual crash was happened. And again, the UK market was least impacted out of the 4, which is close to 30%. Now the famous COVID crash. Again, again we can see how Indian markets were the most impacted. It fell about 41%. So what I'm surprised to know by each of the crash that whatever happens around the globe, why is India getting affected the most? So does anybody in the audience have any kind of thought about this question that market में world में कुछ भी होता है, why Indian markets are getting affected the most?
I think it's primarily because of the role of FDIs.
FDS, correct, right.
Is
Does
that the
anybody?
reason, or what do you know?
Yeah, the main, yeah, it is one of the reasons that the FDI exposure.
ये जैसे आपने जो बोला था कि 2000 का जो आया था डाउन, तो उसमें हमारे यहाँ जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो 10% आईटी में है। और लेमन ब्रदर में जिस तरह से वो नीचे आया, तो हमारा इंडिया का जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है 38%, उसके कारण जो इन्वेस्टमेंट के हिसाब से जो परसेंटेज वाइज है, उसके कारण वो ड्रॉप डाउन आया है।
But, uh, sorry, Indrajit, I failed to understand your point.
He is saying that
हाँ,
Lehman Brothers was primarily investing in IT,
Right.
and if
एक
Lehman
जैसे
Brothers was bankrupt, then basically it influences any country which has a huge IT exposure.
हमारा
That's
एक्सपोजर 38% फाइनेंस में है और 10% आईटी में है, तो
Right.
उसके कारण जो भी आईटी या फिर बैंक में कुछ भी आए तो उसका फर्क तो हमें पड़ेगा ही पड़ेगा।
Yeah, what I personally
Actually, sorry, can I add a quick note?
sure.
Lehman Brothers was mainly in mortgage, right? Low quality mortgage and derived products.
Indrajit seems to be claiming they were also present in IT.
Of course, they're gonna have that, but I think the main problem that brought them down so quickly was mortgage-related product, derived product, financial products. But then we can research more on that.
No, we all know that they were primarily brought down by mortgages. But one of
Mhm.
the side stories was that because they were invested in IT, IT also got impacted.
Oh, okay.
Right. And Lehman Brothers was like we all know, it was a global financial firm, and it was the fourth largest investment bank in the US.
So definitely, I'm sure it is spending some money on IT also.
IT. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. Now comes the interesting part. I'm going to show you what were the returns of all these market for the last 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years CAGR. As you can see, Indian markets for the last 5 years has given roughly around 15.1% return. China, on the other hand, have given negative returns, but Cyprus has given about 44% returns in the
एक minute.
last 5 years. Anybody was saying something?
No, I was sir saying something. You kept on mute.
Okay. Now for the next 10 years. In 10 years CAGR, you can see that US has outperformed all the countries, but still Cyprus holds around 13% of CAGR for the last 10 years. Along with, it is almost the same as India. But the real game happens more in the longer term. Let's say in the 20-year horizon, we can see that India has outperformed all these countries, and India has given a total CAGR of 15% for the last 20 years, and Cyprus holds only about 8%, which is still more than Japan, China, and UK combined.
So, Abhinav, one like I want to just ask a thing that if we look at it, the 5-year CAGR return and the 20-year CAGR return, so India almost perform an equal CAGR return, right? In 5-year
Right.
and 20-year data.
Right.
So can I say that in 5-year data the return is quite 15% on the greater than this due to the COVID issues there? Can we say that or not? Like, what is your point?
No, but if you are concerned about the post-COVID rally, the post-COVID rally was
Mhm.
equal across the countries,
Okay.
right? So
Okay,
taking
getting
your
getting your
yeah,
point.
so taking your point into consideration, every market should have been, equally rise. But if you see on the longer term horizon, in let's say in 20-year horizon, you can see how Indian markets have been continuously performing.
Right. Okay, got it.
But if you see on the shorter term, the 5-year CAGR of Cyprus has outperformed every market. 43% 5-year CAGR, that is a huge number.
Right. It's huge.
Yeah, so Nishan, these were the points which I wanted to cover under the dynamics of different markets. So before I move to my next question, I
Okay.
guess it is
Mhm.
your turn
Yes.
to present your question, or if you have any questions along these lines, you can ask me.
So actually, I had a few questions that is already have been asked to you. So you can stop sharing, then I'll continue with my things.
Okay.
So before I start, like, let me put you a question in front of all of you. So there will be a question, guys, before I start, before I share my things to you. So you need to answer in case of name the country's name over here. So over here, like the question is who is the developed country in the list of India, USA, South Korea, Vietnam, and China. So I would like to I want your attention on this part that according to you guys, who is the developed country?
USA,
You guys can mention your answer. Yeah, absolutely
South
correct.
Korea.
Okay. South Korea. Okay. 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 So you guys can mention your answer in the chat box as well. So that would be a very good. A couple of answers out there in the Korea. South Korea is the developed country. USA. South Korea. Okay. Okay. So okay. So the correct answer definitely is the USA. Now we'll be having an idea. See, guys, this is the USA as a developed country. Now, my question to all of you that except the USA, India, South Korea, Vietnam, and China, are they developing country or underdeveloped country? Now the question, second question to you, to all of you.
India is a developing country.
Except India is developing country. And what about the rest? Vietnam, South Korea, and China.
Vietnam also a developing country. I'm not sure about China, but
Okay, guys. So let me tell you guys that except USA, over here, India, South Korea, Vietnam, and China are the emerging markets, I would say. As you can say, it's also a developing country or the emerging market in the world. So I just took these like 4 or 5 countries out there who are emerging in the world. Moving forward from here, so as we talk about the emerging market in the world, as I told you already, the new name over here is the Brazil as well. It was not in the list above because USA was there because the USA already developed country. So in the list, in the particular sector-wise contribution, you can see that in the total GDP of this country, each country, right? The participation or the contribution of industry, services, and agriculture are in front of all of you. So basically in India, the industry is 50%, 5% contribution in the GDP. Similar, China has a low contribution, and China and the South Korea are almost similar in case that industry level contribution. Brazil has similar lower participation or contribution from the industry wise, and the Vietnam has a similar to China, South Korea. So in case of India, there is a high contribution from the industry, which is 55%. And similarly, in the services, the South Korea and the Brazil has a higher contribution to their GDP. And if we talk about the agriculture, so agriculture is something which is not very vast in the other countries, but it is almost higher in the India and the Brazil. So this is the sector wise bifurcation that how much and which sector contributes to higher number to their GDP over here in this India, China, South Korea, Brazil, and Vietnam. Now moving forward, if I
Nishan,
talk,
uh,
yes, Lakshmi.
I have a question. By industry, do we mean manufacturing industry here?
Yes, manufacturing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
अच्छा
So
ये
now,
निशांत
हाँ बोलिए दीजिए.
ट्रांसपोर्टेशन किस सेक्टर में आएगा?
Services.
सर्विसेज, ओके ठीक है.
Yes. So it is a broadly, I did not categorize in each individual or particular segment कि manufacturing में कितना है, transportation में कितना है. This is a broadly categorized, right? So moving forward from here, that we will talk about the GDP of the emerging market. So for these 5 countries, China has the highest GDP, which is second largest GDP in the world. India is currently sitting at a $4.3 trillion economy. South Korea is $1.79 trillion GDP. Brazil is $2.13 trillion, and the Vietnam is $0.49 trillion, which is $490 billion. Right. And if I talk about their market capitalization of the emerging market, so similarly, China sitting is 11.87 trillion. As Abhinav also talked about these things, but I would like to, as I told you that India and China are the common in my list, but the 3 different countries out there is South Korea, Brazil, and Vietnam. They are sitting, their market capitalization is something like Vietnam, it is very low, which is $2.22 trillion. It means $220 billion. Brazil is sitting at $0.47 trillion. South Korea, $1.68 trillion. So over here, we can see that market cap to GDP ratio. If we talk about the market cap to GDP ratio of the emerging market out of these 5 countries, so India has the highest market cap to GDP ratio. You guys have generally seen or like have seen on the our vision video that we usually talk about in the US economy. So basically, US market capitalization is near about to 60 trillion and their GDP is near about to 30 trillion. So for me, for understanding that US is a developed country, and according to this ratio, a developed country should, or I would not say that it is the only parameter to categorize the underdeveloped or developed or developing countries, but still I'm saying that the ratio should be around 2, at least 2. Right? Agree, guys? Do you agree with that part, or do you don't agree with this thing?
Agree.
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 Okay. So over here, if I say that out of this 5 market, my perspective for India is likely to very good and better. So according to me, Indian markets are quite capable enough to go with this ratio in near about upcoming time, which is near about to 2. The ratio should be 2 if considered as a developed country. So over here, as you can see, none of the other country even touch the 1%, which is equivalent. Equivalent means their market cap and GDP is same. Right? The GDP market cap for South Korea is 1.68 trillion and GDP was 1.79 trillion. So somewhere around the ratio is less than 1. So I am not saying that India is the good opportunity, but over here, these market can we look for? Yes, definitely we can for those. Why? Because there are more possibilities to reach those ratios at 2, or at least for initial stage, at least we are focusing on to the 1%. So that would be good enough. So if my market cap to GDP ratio is near to 2, so definitely I can say, I can assume that we are entering into the developed or 1 or 2 definitely we are emerging market. I wanted to add in case of dynamics of other three countries as what Abhinav discussed. Right, Abhinav?
Yes, yes. I feel the
No,
there
I
was the mic. Yeah.
Okay.
definitely looking at this data, my interpretation of market
Yes.
cap to GDP has changed significantly, right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
So I think
Right.
as the instructor team, we need to really dig into this ratio and understand why,
Okay.
even for some developed countries, this ratio is less than 1.
Yes. Yes. Right, sir. Right.
Like FTSE का story क्या है? We need to understand the FTSE story very clearly. I was sure कि Europe में that ratio will be more than 1.5 for every country. So I'm kind of surprised.
Yes, so that is specifically the reason why I choose UK's market.
Right. Did you get to see the numbers for other European countries like France and
So the data for France, Germany, and Argentina was very scattered. So the authenticity for every data was I was not sure.
ऐसे
That
हो
is why
सकता है? France and Germany you are saying was scattered. I find if you do chat GPT right now, I'm sure numbers will pop up.
सर चैट जीपीटी कुछ अलग नंबर्स दिखा रहा था और बाकी आर्टिकल्स में अलग नंबर्स है इसीलिए फिर
नहीं बट अपने को इंडेक्स तो मालूम है ना
या
मार्केट
दैट्स
कैप इट शुड बी ऑब्वियस मार्केट कैप हर कंट्री का कितना है उसमें अलग नंबर्स दिखाने का कोई स्कोप नहीं है आई मीन these are developed countries they can't just be throwing random numbers you know
no, I'm not talking about the market cap and GDP. I'm also considering all the other factors. Let's say the retail participation. What were the drawdowns during that time? That is why I have restricted
नहीं,
to.
but point is I'm saying did you get to see the numbers for all the European countries?
Yes, I saw the DAX numbers. Wait, let me
Can
pull
you
out the
just
file.
open up chat GPT right now? Can you just open up chat GPT?
Yeah. Nishant, are you sharing or I?
Just
Yeah. The screen is visible,
What is
right?
the market cap to GDP ratio for leading European economies? Is the debate over or do we still have some things to cover?
No, there are certain things.
Achha,
Yes,
let's
sir.
just quickly
Yeah.
look at
There are
this then.
there are certain things to cover. Yes.
Okay, let's just quickly look at the answer to this and go back to the debate after that. Okay, so what are the numbers?
For France, it is 127.9%
7%.
of GDP.
Germany is 47% of
47.
GDP.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Greece 38%, Belgium 106%.
So this is data from till 2023.
Then we should definitely understand what these numbers mean. Like what does the Germany number mean? What does the UK number mean? Right?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Chalo, let's go back to the debate here.
Okay.
Yeah, Nishant, continue.
Yes. My screen is visible, yes?
Yes. No, not yet.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. So as Abhinav just talked about the dynamics of the market for those countries, but I would like to talk about also that past 5 year CAGR return of the index of these particular countries. So the Abhinav has already discussed about the China India. Over here, I took as an Sensex as the index over here, right? For China, it is negative by 0.94%. South Korea is 1.74%, Brazil 3.49%, and the Vietnam is 5.69%. So only the India has outperformed after post COVID rally, I would say. The data did not consider as the low part, which different indexes made during the COVID scenario, right? So this is the particularly only 5-year CAGR return of the index over here. Now, if I talk about the COVID scenario, so there was the drawdown in case of COVID. I picked the value from the high to low, right? So basically, high was January 2020 and low till now. Okay. So in case of India, the max drawdown was 46% near about. In China, it is only 23%. South Korea is the highest one, 50% in COVID times. Brazil is 23% and the Vietnam is 41.43% over there. So this is all about the information related to dynamics over here for these countries, India, China, South Korea, Brazil, and Vietnam.
Yeah, but
Now I am moving
do you have an
forward.
explanation? Do you have an explanation for
Uh,
why China had only 23% drawdown?
no, sir. I do not have the explanation for this part.
I mean, that looks surprisingly low, right?
Right.
अ,
China and the Brazil are quite looks a similar part.
अच्छा, ये चाइना का ऐसा हो सकता है क्या कि वहाँ पे एक ही गवर्नमेंट चलती है, तो इसलिए उसका जो डाटा जो चाहिए वो रियल डाटा नहीं निकलता?
गवर्नमेंट तो सब जगह एक ही चलती है, बट
नहीं, बट वो एक ही पार्टी की है सर.
ठीक है. I was just pulling your leg. But okay, but I mean you can't fudge the stock market index, na?
Okay, sir.
You can
Got it.
probably fudge your death rates or number of infections, but fudging the stock market index is not easy, right? Unless they're pumping money into the market to boost it up.
Mhm. So basically, sir, in China, maximum enterprises are state-owned enterprises, SE basically say. So that
Okay.
could be the reason behind it. Yes.
Acha.
Yes.
ठीक है. Okay.
No, sir,
I
the
mean,
main
definitely,
reason.
see, the main point I'm trying to point out is that the behavior of different markets is different, right? I think we will have at least
Okay.
3-4
Yes.
versions of this debate going forward, because every version will have something new to learn. In this version, we have kind of identified that there are different markets have very different statistical behavior. Next time around, we should be talking about the causes for the difference in further detail. Okay?
Okay, sir. Got it.
Chalo, let's continue.
So the one point I want to make in terms of China, that as you said, the stock market cannot be forged, right? So the data of SSC index, which is the composite index, that is not the real data. The real data is the CSI index. But the catch here is the SSC index. The data for SSC index is not authenticated on every site. So that is the
Yeah,
index
but
that
these
they have been forging for years.
index is something that is published every minute, right?
Right.
Right.
So there is no chance for manipulating that index unless you manipulate the market. You can't manipulate the index because it's being published every minute, right? It can't be a data issue. Or
Okay.
am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. What do you get?
So sir, while
Sir,
preparing for the
what?
Go ahead, Abhinav. Go ahead, Abhinav.
yeah, sir, while preparing for the entire debate, I went through several articles just to find the data for Chinese market. So there I got to know this information about the CSI index and the SSC index.
Okay, I'm sure. Okay. Anyway, we can talk about it later. Or aage. What were you saying,
Yes, sir.
Prashant? You were saying
So
something.
I was saying the same thing as Abhinav said, that while researching all those things, I was looking for the China's market index. Basically, would represent the China's stock exchange. So there are two type of stock like index. I got to know that SSC composite and the CSI 300. But there are too many indexes showing on the internet, like that these are the. So I just took on the SSC composite index. So that could be the reason behind it. Is China is showing the low drawdown over here, sir. Hmm.
All right, let's continue.
Okay. So moving forward, I would like to put a first question over here, that what are the similarities between or among the all emerging market we have discussed today, that India, South Korea, Brazil, Vietnam, China. So first point is retail investor participation over here. What does it mean? So retail investor play a big role in trading volumes. So as you can see, that first chart is showing the participation of the retail of the population. In India, approximately near about 6% people invest in the stock market. In China, it is significantly higher, 15%. And the South Korea is the highest number, which is 30% over here, right? But Vietnam and Brazil are a very, very much low participation in case of retail in the stock market, which is 3% and the 1%. And another chart is also showing that retail share of market capitalization. Jitna bhi, what is the total market capitalization of the India, China, South Korea, Vietnam, and Brazil? And then the retail share of that much percent in their market capitalization. So in India, 26% of the market capitalization retail shares. In case of China, 65%, Korea, 64%, near about to same. But in case of Vietnam, it is 90%, and the Brazil is 10%. So question arises over here, that why in the first part, that retail participation, why South Korea has a higher percentage participation. So I would like to focus on this part as well, that South Korea has had low interest rate for a long time period. Earlier, South Korea had a low
Nishan,
interest rate. Yes,
before you
Lakshmi.
move, before you move ahead, can you please again explain the previous slide, the previous two charts, the second one exactly?
This one.
Yeah, retail share of market cap uh, by turnover. What
See,
this
okay,
is
okay,
about?
okay. Let's say market capitalization is something which is 4.2 trillion. So near about 26% participate in that part of retail.
Okay, that means 26% of market share is part of retail, right?
Right. That is what I'm saying.
Isn't it the same as the retail participation?
See, this is the retail participation and percentage of the population.
अच्छा,
कि अगर इंडिया में 140 करोड़ लोग हैं तो उसमें से 6% रिटेल में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं. आउट ऑफ 140 million people, 6% invest in the market,
okay.
basically.
So
And this is
Nishant,
about the
6%,
market capital.
6% would be high, I would think, like 180 crore. 6% कितना हो जाएगा? 90 crore.
No, sir.
नहीं 90 crore
9
9
crore,
crore
9 crore.
9 crore correct.
8 point
9 crore.
90 million. I doubt कि 90 million है. I think the most recent number that
Yeah.
SEBI, but I mean, I guess you are considering percentage of adult population.
Not adults, sir, including all. But it is the percentage.
No, but see what SEBI announced recently was that there's about 4.5 crore retail traders in total. ठीक है, anyway. So how did you get these numbers? Let's just talk about that. Where did you pick up these numbers from?
Sir, research and the chat GPTs as well. I
Acha, you
have
just
all
asked, what
the,
was the question that you asked ChatGPT?
sir, I thought participation of the retail traders of the total population for below mentioned countries. That's what I asked exactly. And I have the link for the same, like for resources for the same information, sir.
Very good.
From where these data have gathered actually.
Can you pull it up? Can you pull up the question that you asked?
Oh, I'm going back. What are the
No, you
similarities
don't have.
among the?
No. I'm saying, what is the question you asked ChatGPT? Do you have that
Okay,
question?
okay.
Mhm.
So let me go to ChatGPT and figure out what exactly I asked actually.
Right.
So can I go back to sir to figure out?
Any,
Okay. Later on,
I
I'll
mean,
just.
if you'll have to walk away, then forget it. I thought you had it on your tips. You had a list of
Sir,
questions already.
basically I asked that what is the retail participation of the total population of the below mentioned countries. That is what I asked exactly.
Given your English and given my English, I'm sure we both will end up making mistakes. So that's why I wanted to see the real question.
Sir, I have the
Okay.
data. If you want, I can pull it up.
Okay, sure.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And do you have the same data that that Nishant is showing, or do you have a different data?
No, it is the same data. It is from the article which was written by the Indian Express. Here you can see, wait, I'll just, yeah, my screen is visible, right?
Yeah.
I'll just
What
zoom in
does
a
it
bit.
say? Where is the?
Yeah.
Is it showing
Individual
it in a tabular
investors,
formula? Yeah.
yeah, it says that the individual investors today over, where it go? It was right here.
Yeah,
Abhinav is right.
there it is. There it is. In
Yeah,
the
the
first
number
line,
of
the
retail
number of retail
investors.
investor in the
Yeah.
domestic.
Over 9.5 crore at present. And this article was written on 31st March 2024.
23.
24.
24.
Yeah, but we were looking at the most recent SEBI numbers where it was talking about number of accounts open in brokerages, right? Do you remember that article where it was saying that the number of traders has dropped by 53 lakhs in the last 9 months?
Yes, sir.
That,
Yes.
yeah.
We must have a link to that in our WhatsApp messages, right? Nishant, you must have posted that link, right?
Yes, sir. I posted.
Yeah. Can you pull up that link itself?
So let me find it out actually.
Chalo, till you are finding out. Abhinav, why don't you find out? I think Nishant was finishing his slide.
Yeah, I'll find out in
Yes,
the
sir.
group one. Yeah.
In the meantime, Nishant, you continue.
Okay, sir. Good. So I would like to focus, as I told earlier, that why it is participation is quite high in the South Korea part. So the first point is South Korea has a low interest rate for their investment for fixed deposit offered poor returns. So equities became the preferred vehicle for
When
returns.
you say
For
low,
if I
what is the rate? What is the actual rate?
uh, sir, actually I did not go to the exact rate.
थोड़ा, I mean, weren't you curious कि वो low बोल रहे हैं तो कितना low होगा? I mean, that's the first question that came to my mind, right? ठीक है, आगे बढ़ो, आगे बढ़ो.
Okay.
Go ahead. Why did
And
you
then yes. So the next is the market concentration. So big globally recognized conglomerate dominate the market. Basically, Samsung Electronics is the greater than 20% of the Kospi, which is their index, South Korea. So that is why the reason behind it that people directly invest into the Samsung Electronics, and the participation will be quite higher as retail investors strongly identified with these companies viewing them as a safe long-term bets. Foreign money that South Korea has historically encouraged retail participation to reduce dependence on the foreign capital. Some reform and tax incentives favored individual trading in equities. In the last, but digitalization, mobile trading apps, and zero low brokerage fees boosted accessibility. So this is all about the reason that why South Korea had a higher participation, that is in 30%. Yes, Adrian, are you saying something?
Yeah. Actually, in the previous slide, okay, I saw
Okay.
Vietnam had 3% retail participation and 90% market cap. How is that possible?
90%
Retail
market cap.
retail share of market cap is 90%, but the retail participation is just 3%.
See,
I'm not
what
able
I'm
to
just trying to
understand.
say over here. What
Mhm.
I'm just trying to say over here, that these 3% people participate in the market or invest in the market of their total population, right?
Okay.
And in out of these 3%, 90% having the retail share of this market capitalization. That is what I'm just trying to say over here.
Overall market capitalization is held by retail investors.
That's what it
Yes,
That is
sounds.
90%.
yes. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Interesting. Good observation, Adrian.
Okay. Yes,
I
but
didn't
thank
even
you.
notice that. Right. Okay, continue, Nishant.
Okay. Okay. And again, I'm just trying to convey this message that why Vietnam has the higher retail participation in the turnover. That over here, that less institutional trading. Vietnam's market is still young and shallow, with few large domestic institutional investors like pension fund, mutual fund, and the insurance companies. In itself, in the Vietnam economy or Vietnam country, that next is the diversification. So, institutional participation from itself from the Vietnam is quite saturated. Basically, funds, ETFs, foreign institutions is very small compared to India, Korea, and the China. And the very interesting part that actively trading, even though only 3% of population invest in the market, who are very active traders, not passive traders. So basically, if we look at the portion that how many of you are actively trading or the passive investor, but in case of Vietnam, the active traders are the higher number of active traders out of these 3% of the population invest. And last is capping on the investment. So basically, Vietnam caps foreign ownership in many listed companies, especially banks, telecom, and the strategic sector. These discourages large foreign institutional investor from building heavy positions, leaving the market mostly retail trade. So this point I would just wanted to bring in front all of us, that why the reason that
Sure.
Vietnam has a higher participation. Yes, it is.
Yeah, sure. As you said, South Korea, okay, they had low interest rates. Okay, because of that, people were pushed into the equity markets. Okay, because of
Yes,
low interest
right.
rates. What did Vietnam do to put retail investors into the stock market?
See,
Because
Vietnam has capping onto the foreign institution investing. If you heard about the FDI part, right?
correct. But they stop
So,
people, foreigners to invest, right? Yeah, correct. Understood. Next. Yes.
so that's the reason behind it. If they have capped or if they have restricted a foreign institutional investor entering into their market, so retail has a higher exposure to invest in the market.
So, but did it directly push retail investors or were they given more incentives?
Sorry, Arjun, can you please repeat?
Means if I cap foreign investors, okay.
Okay.
So in that case, why will retail investors start investing in the stock market? That is my question. Like South Korea understood because the interest rates were low, so the retail investor went to the equity segment. But
Okay.
anything in Vietnam, apart from capping, that is to stop foreign investors,
Okay.
but to boost retail participation.
Okay. So you are just trying to understand that even if keeping onto the investment from an institutional investor, but
Right.
what is the thing that attract to invest as a retail trader in the market? That is what you're saying,
Correct.
right?
Exactly.
Okay. I guess I have to figure it out, Arjun. Right now, I do not have the counter argument for this. I'll
Okay.
figure out
Yeah.
this why this is the ratio is quite and what does it attract to invest in the capital market basically to the
Sure.
retail
Okay.
investors.
Okay.
So it was all about the from my side up and now. Like, do you have any question regarding this data or the thing?
Actually, no
Or the
questions. If you can just go back to the slide where you were showing the retail participation uh, percentage of, yeah,
yes.
but oh yes, this slide. Here I just want to understand one thing. In the second plot where
Okay.
it is showing that South Korea is
64%.
yeah, this 64% means that the 64% is responsible for the entire uh, market cap.
Yes. For every country that is showing the same thing what you are trying to say.
Right. So if I have to compare both
But
the plots, you can see that South Korea ka retail participation is also 30%. So that is pretty obvious that uska retail share of market cap per turnover 64 hoga. But if you just compare with China, China ka retail participation is only 15%. But the retail
okay.
but the retail is responsible for 65% of the share of the market cap.
So what it means over here that out of this 30% people having the 64% of the retail market cap. But in case of only 15% out of this 15% people having the China in 65%. What does it mean कि चाइना में पार्टिसिपेशन कम है लेकिन उसके रिटेल शेयर्स मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन में ज्यादा है बट साउथ कोरिया में वो रेशो कम है बेसिकली दैट इज व्हाट आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू से
See, I think
Okay.
another number that needs to be brought into this story
ओके
is the
which numbers
personal wealth. What is the personal wealth of the country and what percentage of the personal wealth is invested in the stock market?
personal wealth includes all the wealth of from the different sector including stock market that is what you mean
Right.
right
For example, the total personal wealth of India is around 16.5 trillion and of US is around 166 trillion,
okay
right? If you compare the personal, the so if you just compare what percentage of personal wealth is sitting in the stock market, that might give you a different insight. Like in Vietnam, what percentage of personal wealth is sitting in the stock market, right? In China, what percentage?
okay
I think
okay
adding personal wealth to the story will give us a little more clear insight into what is going on across these countries.
okay but
I mean, do you agree or disagree? What does the audience think? Does personal wealth have a role to play in this conversation?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
so
Abhi, we are
so in
talking
case
about
of yes sir
Go ahead.
like by sharing this information that percentage of the total wealth and how much into the stock market. So what the data will convey basically what I'm just trying to
So
understand.
let's just take the example of India, right?
Okay, right,
India's market cap is around 5.5 trillion, right?
Right.
right, right.
But we keep saying that, the that the percent of personal wealth invested in the stock market is around 7 to 8%, right? So 16% का 7% हो गया 1.5 trillion, around 1.2 trillion,
1.12, yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
So 1.1 trillion of the 5.5 trillion is invested by the retail investor.
Okay.
So now the rest of the money is coming from outside India or from institutional investments, right? So
Right.
that distribution, for example, if we just take Vietnam, right? If we say 90% of
Right.
the stock market is owned by the retail investor, then we should be able to correlate that. Now, what is the personal wealth of the country? What percentage is invested in the stock market? And what is the size of the stock market? Right? Acha, ye kya hai? 0.22 trillion. What is that? Market cap of
The
emerging
market
markets.
capitalization of the Vietnam.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's 0.22 trillion. And
Yes,
what is the total
Vietnam.
personal wealth of Vietnam? Let's just look at that.
Total cost.
This is a quick question. You just chat GPT it, see what comes up. आया क्या आंसर?
Sorry. Nothing.
So
Wikipedia is
2000,
showing no
so
information.
2021 का estimate दिया है, that is $985 billion.
985. So
Yeah,
985 ka 0.22 trillion. So that's 220 out of 985.
around 19
About
billion.
19 kahan? 23%.
Sir, 22.33%.
Right. So 23% is pretty high, na?
Yes.
That explains a little
Right.
bit ki okay, itna high ownership kyun hai. ठीक है 0.22 ट्रिलियन ये है इनका मार्केट कैप है, राइट?
Yes.
What
Yes.
percentage of personal wealth in Vietnam is invested in the stock market? Just look at that. Abhinav, can you quickly look at that?
Yeah, I'm looking. So it is showing that most of the household wealth in Vietnam are tied to real estate. And as of 2025, Vietnam's market cap reached about 70% of the country's GDP.
भैया तू ठीक क्वेश्चन पूछेगा तो ठीक आंसर आएगा ना. Ask it what what is the value of personal wealth tied to the stock market in Vietnam?
So it is showing that there isn't a direct publicly figure available for the total wealth held in the stocks in Vietnam.
अच्छा ठीक है. I mean you basically you can authenticate the number. तुमको 90% जो number मिला, my guess is 90% is implying that at least 0.2 trillion of the wealth in Vietnam is tied to the stock market, right? I guess the main point I'm making is that you have to confirm these numbers by looking at the numbers in 2-3 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
पहले तो
Get it, sir.
confirmation का ही बात हो जाता है, right?
Okay, sir. Right.
Secondly, the thing is, in a way, when you compare market cap to GDP, what are you comparing? You are basically at an individual level, you are comparing the ownership in the market to the personal income of an individual. कितना उसके पोर्टफोलियो में स्टॉक मार्केट है वर्सेस कितना उसका टोटल पर्सनल वेल्थ है.
Okay.
So that number is interesting. How much of his personal wealth is an individual putting in the stock market, right?
सर बेसिकली if we talk about the India, तो इंडिया का जो भी एक हाउस होल्ड है, रिटेल इंडिविजुअल इन्वेस्टर है, उसकी टोटल सेविंग का वो 7 से 8% के आसपास वो इस स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करता है.
Yeah, these are average numbers, na? Essentially, what you are
Okay.
saying is that the 8% of the personal wealth is invested in the market.
Okay, right.
If you look at the country level numbers, it is telling you that 7% of the national wealth is invested in the stock market, right?
Right, right, sir.
And the same number, if you're looking at an individual level, you would say 7% of his net worth he has invested in the stock market. Right?
Yes, right, sir.
So essentially, in this discussion, there's a role to play for the ratio of personal wealth to the investment in the stock market. Abhi
Okay,
tak we have been talking about market cap versus GDP.
Yes, sir.
Or
Right.
we have talked about number of what percentage of population is invested in the market. Right?
Right.
Chalo, anyway, I mean, the next version of the conversation, we need to bring in more variables into the discussion. Okay?
Okay, sir. Yes, right.
अच्छा और क्या?
So what you are suggesting is that what amount of personal income is going into the stock market for each
Right.
of the countries.
Right.
Okay.
But sir, can we say that for an individual, let's say मैंने अभी जो एग्जांपल दिया that average is 7 to 8%, बट अगर नेशन वाइड की बात करें तब भी वो सेम ही होगा या फिर इतना ज्यादा डिविएशन आ सकता है सर?
No, it is exactly, we are basically talking about the same number at the national level or individual level. It's the same number, right?
Right.
But in today's debate, we did not see the personal wealth of each of these countries.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Right.
Like it is not clear, when you say that 3% of Vietnam is invested in the market, right?
Yes, sir.
We
Right.
don't know, does that mean that 3% of the population has demat accounts? Or does it mean that 3% of their personal wealth is invested in the stock market?
Okay. So basically, we should have a clear bifurcation की exactly क्या है, कितने active traders invested है.
What
Right.
exactly is that 3%? Where is that 3% coming from?
Okay.
Does that
Right, sir.
represent 3% of the personal wealth or does it represent 3% of the population?
Okay, sir. Oh, got it.
Because if 3% of population is different from 3% of personal wealth, if it is, let's say, 7% of population, but 3% of personal wealth, that also has a different story to tell. Right?
Right, sir.
For example, if in Vietnam, it is 80%, 80% of people have accounts.
Okay.
but only 3% of personal wealth is present in the stock market. But that 3% that is invested in the stock market represents 90% of the stock market value.
Yes.
So now, the story becomes even more interesting. Ki bhai, if the commitment to the stock market is so high,
Right.
why is the commitment only coming from certain sector of the population? Yeah, I think let me tell the story differently. Suppose only 3% of the population invests in the market, right? But 90% of the personal wealth is invested in the market. That means the super rich are investing all their money in the stock market.
Exactly.
If only 3% are investing in the market, but those 3% own 80% of the market, that is telling you a different story. It is not just the story of the country investing in the market, it's only the super rich that are investing in the market. Right?
Right, sir. Right.
So by bringing personal wealth in the story, you might get new insights into what is going on in these different markets.
Okay. Got it.
See, ideally, if everything is uniform in a country, right?
Right.
You would say 30% invest in the market, they represent 30% of the stock market, or 30% of their personal wealth is invested in the market. Every number should just boil down to 30%.
Correct.
If one number is 30%, the other is 3%, then there's some story going on there, right? So we just need to get clarification. And like I had said before the debate, I had suggested to both of you, your presentation should just not be about numbers, it should be about anecdotes in these different markets. What are the big changes that have happened in these markets? What has caused major shifts in these markets? Right?
Yes, right.
What is the story at a national level? Like, I mean, the Vietnam story is very different from the India story, is very different from the Cyprus story.
Yes, sir.
So we needed more stories about what is going on with these different markets. Right?
Right.
Like banking crisis in Cyprus, we are all aware about. I mean, at least I am aware about.
Yeah.
Right? So that was unique to Cyprus. It was a problem that Cyprus had. Right? In fact, I mean, I don't know whether Chenvi is still there, but both
No, she
Chenvi and
didn't.
I have a friend in Cyprus, and her impression about the stock market is it is all fraud. Right?
Right.
So understanding the psychology of these different countries about their markets is also an important piece of the story. Like in India, we say stock market is nothing but gambling. Right?
Right.
Right. Yes, sir.
In Cyprus, the common story is it's all fraud. So similarly, what is the impression in UK? Why is their market cap below their GDP? Is there a reason behind it? Right? Is there a psychological reason behind it? Like for example, Indrajit was saying that they might be investing much more outside the country than inside the country. Is that evident somehow in the numbers or even in the anecdotes related to that country? Debate ho gaya kya? Are you guys done?
No, sir.
Nini, I'm asking the two candidates. Are you done with your material or do you have more material to show?
Yeah, I have key challenges which each of the market faces, and also what is the impact of the government on the markets.
What is the impact? Let's just quickly talk about what is the impact.
Let me just share my screen as well. The screen is
Rutuja,
visible?
why were you saying, one second, Rutuja,
Oh.
why were you saying no, sir? Were you saying no because you were enjoying the debate, or you had a different reason to say no?
No, today's debate is very interesting. और फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा हुआ कि मुझे एंडिंग तक रहने का मन हो रहा है इसमें.
Very nice, very nice.
और
हाँ,
सर
बोलो.
एक रिक्वेस्ट है, सॉरी ये वीडियो से लिंक नहीं है. हम ऐसी वीडियोस मतलब इसी टाइप्स की वीडियोस को यूट्यूब में और अच्छे से 3D में डाल नहीं सकते क्या? आई मीन इंटरेस्टिंग वैसे जैसे हमारे स्पीकर्स है. इनफैक्ट आज का टॉपिक बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है तो उसको स्पीकर के थ्रू इंट्रोडक्शन से
बोलो ना, जो भी तुमको सजेशन है, put it on DDT. You don't even need to go to talk to an individual. Put it on DDT. Somebody will pick up, somebody will start working on it. Either Ria or the animator team or Deep, somebody will get involved. But if you don't make the suggestion there, it will get lost. ठीक है ना?
ठीक है.
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, so sir, as you requested, what was the impact of the government in different markets? Pehla, Indian markets, as I said earlier in the presentation also, that our government owns majority of the PSUs. जैसे कि State Bank of India. In the example, I have also mentioned ONGC and LIC, which are the large part of our indices, that is Nifty 50. So we have seen that whenever there is a big announcement related to taxation or budget or even the election, we saw how the market crashed 10% on the day of results of the election. Here, the impact of government is moderate to high. Now, why it has been shifted to moderate to high? Because the only reason is that before the election, our Home Minister and Prime Minister both evidently said on the media channel that before the election result, go and buy the government stocks or the PSU stocks. So that is exactly why the impact of our government is really becoming high as of now, because they openly say in the media that XYZ stock or XYZ sector can rise after the election results. Similarly, if I have to take example of China, there obviously it is very high as there is no democracy there. But as I mentioned also in the previous slide, that how the retail participation is responsible for 70 to 80% of the total trading volume. So now here the government influence is very high because the CSCR, which is also known as the SEBI of China, it directly halts trading during crashes. There have been multiple cases where the Chinese index or the Chinese market have been halted during the trading hours, and also how the government influences the IPO, whichever IPO the company wants to bring to the market. The government has direct influence on those IPOs. So the government impact is high in the India and as well as China. Now, let's talk about US. Anything that happens in the US has mostly indirect impact on the markets, apart from the tariffs and everything. But if I have to consider the Fed's monetary policy, which has the interest rates, its impact is huge. But the government, let's say the government bailout, which was during the 2008 crash or the 2020 pandemic, the SEC and CFFT ensured that all the trading remains really fair and it don't interfere the stock prices like it interferes in the Chinese market where they have.
Hold on. In US particularly,
Oh,
if you look at the bailouts, they are not bailouts of the market. They are bailouts of
bailouts
a
by the
specific
government.
sector.
Yeah.
They are not
So
bailing out the market. They are bailing out either the mortgage companies or the real estate sector or
yeah,
some particular sector. They don't try to directly influence the
the
stock
market.
market.
Yeah.
Of course, the
That,
side effect is there's an influence,
yeah.
but the
But the
intention is
main,
never to influence directly the market directly. So,
yeah, that is why I've also written mostly indirectly.
okay. अच्छा और क्या बाकियों का क्या है स्टोरी?
Yeah, in Japan it is moderate as I mentioned that how Japanese market, which is the Bank of Japan, which is one of the largest holders of the ETFs, which owns 7% of the entire stock exchange. There, the government pension funds are invested heavily in the equities. Means that whatever the pension funds the government has, the entire fund is invested heavily directly into the equities.
Mm-hmm.
So next case for the UK, it is same as the US, low to moderate, where the FCA, which is their version of SEBI, ensure that every time there is a fair trading, and they ensure that no trading halts are uh, done during any kind of market crash or any kind of high volatility. We all remember that Bank of England incident, which it impacted liquidity, but even then the trading was not halted by the FCA. They ensured that the fair trading continued to happen, and along with that, no uh, direct media interviews were given by the government. So that really shows that how they want to stay away from the market, just like India. Like in India, we have seen that how the home minister or the prime minister openly says without thinking that what their statements will have the impact on the market. But in US, they strictly refrain from those kind of
You meant UK.
statements. Yeah, UK. Sorry.
Right. Okay. और लास्ट क्या है ये लास्ट?
Last is Cyprus,
Yeah.
where, as we know, it is a very small market, but all the trading activities, all the fundamental things, and all the geopolitical things are directly highly impacted by the European policies and the ECB policies. So whatever happens in the entire Europe, small markets are the first one to get really impacted because the market size is very low, and the entire dependence of certain policies are dependent on such markets.
Right.
So the political control is very high in these markets, despite not being the direct decision maker of those markets, but the policies are very heavily dependent on other countries, let's say the Europe. So that is why these small markets get impacted.
Mm-hmm. Right. Is there a so we are now considering in this part of the discussion, we are specifically considering the impact of the government on the markets, right?
Right.
Is there any conclusion
Yes,
that you
right.
came to where you said that, okay, this is a good thing or a bad thing? The influence of the government on the market. In any,
No, in the case of India, I personally felt that it is a bad thing because in a way the government is trying to speculate the market by giving statements like 4th June से पहले ये stocks buy कर लेना, rocket हो जाएगा. That doesn't make any sense. Being in the government, you are responsible for every word you speak. So you cannot just speak freely in the media.
Okay, so Abhinav, are you saying that as in government, as in matlab who?
okay, like,
Uh,
is there a way for us to figure out what percentage of the volatility of the country, of the stock market, is a function of direct, feedback from the government? I mean, I'm not expecting you to answer this question right now, but in future debates, we should look into this. We are saying the market gets impacted by the government. All the government is doing is sending out messages, right?
right.
Can we figure out when the government sends out these messages, what is the increase in the volatility of the market, right?
Okay.
Firstly, that will help us categorize whether the impact is moderate or high or low, because then we'll have a common scale to compare across countries.
Right. You can get some numericals to measure those things.
Right. Okay, what were you saying, Nishant?
Sir, my question was like Abhinav is saying like गवर्नमेंट आके बात कर रहा है मीडिया पे कि 3% 4% स्टॉक चल जाएगा ऐसा. सो इज इट अबाउट द मार्केट ओवरऑल और इंडिविजुअल स्टॉक? अभिनव, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन.
In the recent interview, Home Minister
Okay.
Amit Shah said that before the 4th of June, just buy all the government stocks in the PSU sector. He did not say about
Okay,
the
okay, okay.
particular number that 3% या 4% बढ़ जाएगा. He just said that
अच्छा, अच्छा,
before
अच्छा.
the result you just buy those stocks.
Okay, okay, got it, got it.
See the what I'm going to say next is, usually I complain that Indians suffer from the America syndrome. But if you draw a comparison, there is actually a news item where Trump is joking with investors who made a lot of money because of the drop down in the stock prices after he announced tariffs. And it almost sounded like he let these investors know that he's going to announce tariffs, and they shorted the market before that. Do you find this easy to believe?
So in case of Trump, it is possible.
It is possible, right?
ये possible है.
But we have seen in the same year only, he imposed some percentage of tariffs to China, and after 2 days he said that all these tariffs have been halted, and after 90 days he will review the entire tariff policy. So during those time, the day he impacted, the US market fell, and after the entire 90 days ka buffer, again the market rallied. So my speculation was that
For the Indian markets, we are saying that Amit Shah and Modi announced,
yeah,
right?
Right.
We don't know whether they participated in any insider trading,
right.
right? In case of US, I'm sure that Trump participated in insider trading.
Yeah, that is possible.
Right? So, individuals within governments can have a big influence on
The
how
market.
they are manipulating the market. Or yeah.
So that was my only point, that if you are given a post at such senior level where each of your words can be taken into some other sense, then you should have been refrained from saying those statements in the media.
No, but Trump did not make any comments about the markets. Everybody knows कि वो tariff increase करेगा तो market crash करेगा.
Right, right.
He does not need to make any statements about the market. What I'm saying is, you make laws, smart people will always figure out a way to get past those laws. If you make a law that, political figures should not be making any comment about the stock market, you can influence the market without making any comments about the stock market.
Right.
Because finally, you are the government, you are making policies. Policies influence every aspect of the government, of the country.
So indirectly, you can influence the market.
Yeah, you can. So making such rules also does not solve the problem. Right?
Yeah. Right, right.
For example, we keep saying that, we should increase the women participation in the stock market. But we all know the moment we make any rules to incentivize women to participate in the market, quickly the men in their lives will take over and try to take advantage of those rules. Right?
Right, right.
So it's a tricky game, basically. Okay. Anything else we need to cover?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
All right, guys, let's wrap up. I'm sure that this is the first of many debates. I mean, this time around, we won't make it consecutive debates on the same topic. We'll probably give this topic a break and probably bring it up again after maybe 3-4 debates. But I think, talking about different countries definitely gave me new perspective about how to think about these numbers. Right?
Right.
For example, everybody knows for the last 6 months I've been fixated by this market cap to GDP number.
Right.
But
Yes.
now I have a new way to think about it, so I'll probably want to understand more. Kisi ke any final comments? Anybody wants to make any final comments? Indrajit, any final comments about the debate today? Was it different, similar to last times, or something new?
नहीं कुछ अलग है ये.
अच्छा.
और सपोज आगे जाके अगर इसमें अगर हम जैसे आज के इसमें हमने जैसे देखा कि यूएसए, जापान, इनका जो इंटरेस्ट रेट है वो बहुत कम है, उसके कारण उनकी जो पार्टिसिपेशन इन मार्केट है वो ज़्यादा है, तो उसके ऊपर।
पहले कभी तुमने यूएस और इंडिया को छोड़ के किसी और कंट्री के बारे में सोचा था कि मार्केट कैसा है, क्या है?
हाँ सर।
सोचा था? अच्छा।
हाँ सर, लेकिन जैसे ये साउथ कोरिया, ये वियतनाम, ये नहीं सोचा था, इतने एकदम डिफरेंट नहीं सोचा था मैंने, बस वही चाइना, रशिया ये सोचा। रशिया रशिया का तो पता नहीं मुझे, लेकिन वो डाटा तो बराबर मिलता नहीं, लेकिन चाइना जैसे हो गया, या फिर फ्रांस हो गया, जर्मनी हो गया, जापान हो गया।
Right. I was totally surprised कि Germany's market cap to GDP ratio is less than 50%. You know, maybe one of the reasons there is that the the lives of German people is highly subsidized by the government. Their taxes are extremely high, and I think that's true for most European countries. Their taxes are extremely high, and in most cases, their lives are kind of controlled by the way the government subsidizes their life. Right? I mean, their healthcare, their education, you know, all of that is covered by the government. So it might just be that they have less incentive to invest in the stock market.
Right.
For example, if their taxes are high, most likely their capital gains taxes are also high. See, capital gains taxes नहीं बढ़ाए तुम इस discussion में.
Yes, yes, sir. That was the missing part.
That was the missing part. That would clarify so many things about the market size of these countries. Right?
Right, sir.
And especially the retail participation. I think it's a big function of, for example, South Korea has less capital gains taxes, right? And most likely that is impacting the fact that 80% of, they have 80% participation.